So how many warps is this now?
This is number technically 6, and I say technically because our very first Warped Tour that we ever played, we were on the Ernie Ball Battle of the Bands. We had won the Battle of the Bands, so they let us play Warped Tour in our hometown.
Yeah.
That was our first Warped Tour experience, and I remember thinking like, holy crap, these bands are so lucky that they get to do this every single day. And then literally the next year after that was in 2007, the next year after that, we were on the entire Warped Tour.
Amazing.
So we've done it in 2008, 2009, 2010, 2012, and now 2014.
Amazing. Now when you're on it for the one day, did you get a chance to like talk to some of the other bands to get to know about the experience?
It's weird because you get a backstage pass, but it's backstage for the Ernie Ball stage, and it doesn't get you anywhere else. It doesn't get you on stage for other bands or even backstage or catering or any of that stuff. So you get excited that you're there, but I remember we were walking around, we had our heads held high, we were like, we made it and stuff like that. And in all reality, it was just a small step that we had taken.
Sure. But it's good to kind of take it in steps rather than get thrown in the deep end all at once. And
totally. I mean,
kind of got a little feel for it.
We've had a bunch of bands that are friends of ours that are, they've hit that peak really, really fast, and they've just kind of like exploded. Like you didn't know who they were, and then they have a #1 song, and then it's kind of like that rise up fast and fall fast type.
It's tough to maintain that. We always talk about the tortoise and the hare.
Yeah.
We know who wins the race.
Right. And we've always been that. We've always been the slow and steady build, and I think that really creates a solid fan base. It creates a solid band. You start learning about us as people, and it's not just such like a flash in the pants style of band.
Sure. It's that organic growth that can, be sustained.
Totally. We want to be like a timeless band. And we'll continue to write music, and I think there are songs that we have that will become timeless, and they'll be the ones that last throughout our career and then past, and and then some. And I think that's what we're really searching for, is that timeless music.
Beautiful. Now, growing up, who were the bands or the artists that really excited you to want to do this yourself?
I played piano when I was 4 years old, up until 13. I remember quitting because I didn't think the piano was cool anymore, and it was the dumbest thing I've ever done, because now the piano is like the sexiest instrument. Like if a girl sees you play piano, they're like totally like knees shaking.
Right.
But I remember when I was 13, I quit, and I started asking my mom, like, what band should I listen to? Like what did you listen to? And she was such a Beatles freak growing up. That she was like, well, if you want, I can teach you how to play guitar. And I was like, oh my God, I think I could get a girlfriend if you taught me how to play guitar. So the very first song she taught me was Blackbird by the Beatles.
Wow.
I thank her immensely for raising me on good music, because not everybody gets that musical education growing up. And it was really cool, because then when I wanted to find who I wanted to listen to, and like I wanted to make my footprint known, I listened to the Blink-182s and the Jimmy Eat Worlds and Green Day and stuff like that. And then I got into the Foo Fighters and Coldplay and Chili Peppers, and I started just like a sponge. I was just eating up all this different style of music, and I loved it. I loved everything that I heard, and then I just wanted to create a band for myself. And I was like, there's songs that I'm not hearing. Maybe I could write them, and so that was kind of how it all started.
Yeah, I always worry about some of the younger, people coming up, where there's less radio. They're fragmented. They're all over the web. It's like, do they really get that same experience that we did growing up, and being able to fall in love with some bands? And the attention span is getting so short.
Right.
I'm sure your mother, when the new Beatles came out, she'd play it endlessly for months.
She would, and we had like a record player that was really cool, and it was just, I feel like there was a little more pride, and I'm sure there was as many bands as there are today.
Yeah.
But the idea of making it on tour and getting a record label, that was like foreign to people. Now labels are just signing every single thing that works and throwing a bunch of stuff out a window, seeing what sticks. Everybody else gets screwed, and the one person gets like a flash in the pan career. So like, it's just much different. The music industry is much different than it was back then, and I think having accessibility to music these days, with all the bands and artists that are out, and the internet being as powerful as it is, it kind of like oversaturates the music world, which at one time it's like at one side it's like great, because there's so much more music, and you can literally, there's no way you'll ever be able to in your life listen to every song that was ever created, because there's too much music. There's hundreds and hundreds of years worth of music, and that's a really fun concept, fun idea to think about. But at the same time, it's like, how does a band burst through that ceiling and become like hey, we're still here. Like, does anybody want to still listen to us? And like, it makes it hard for bands to really transcend that ceiling.
Yeah, I know it's always interesting to find new ways to get to the public and keep their attention. Now, you got to tell me, how the hell did you end up on the damn cereal box?
The cereal box.
What the hell? I'm going through the aisle and I'm like, we the kings, man. Was it Post or General Mills? Was it Post, I think? General Mills?
I think it was Post.
Okay,
yeah.
Post. There you go.
The funniest thing about that whole thing is our families, growing up, they don't really they weren't really sure how to. There was like a disconnect. We had sold 1 million albums. We had toured the world. We had been on TV. We've been on commercials. Our music's been played on movies. It wasn't until we got the honeycomb cereal box that it connected. Like, oh my gosh, our sons are famous or whatever, and so they would call their.
You're right there with the Beatles and the Monkees, man.
Exactly. Well, they were so used to seeing all these Olympians on the Wheaties box and all these the most famous athletes. That's what they compared it to.
Yeah.
So they're like, they must be the most famous band. We didn't tell them that they were wrong. We were enjoying it. But we went into a meeting. It was like a branding meeting, and we actually they were like, what are some of the things you like? And we spouted off things from cereal to dirt bikes and clothing and automobiles, and just we went on a bunch of different things. And then a week later they came back. They were like, hey, do you guys like honeycomb? We're like, we love honeycomb. They're like, okay, well, we can offer you an endless supply of honeycomb, lifetime supply.
A truck full.
And they were like, also, they want to put you guys on the cover. And we're like, wait, what? Why wasn't that the first thing you said? So it was really cool. It was a fun opportunity for us, and it helped that how we were just talking about, it's hard for bands to stay relevant and to what can they do to get out into the public in different ways. When somebody's shopping through the grocery store, they don't expect to see anything band related, and then when they see that, they're like, wow, this is really cool that We the Kings is still, and it was promoting our latest album at the time.
Sure.
Just really such a cool thing. I think that's what bands have to do they have to think outside the box.
Absolutely.
Put themselves on a box.
I thought it was great, and hopefully you're still eating the honeycomb,
we actually ate too much of it for a while.
You're down to
too much of a good thing is no good. So
no, it's you got to find the balance.
Yeah.
And let's talk about that. Making the new music. Where do you find the inspiration now that you've made so much music? Is it constantly bettering the songwriting craft, or what is the inspiration to get out there and push it harder than before?
Well, I think there is a formula to songwriting, or at least a formula that We the Kings uses that makes a We the Kings song sound like a We the Kings song. No matter what style of music it is, like whatever we decide to do. We kind of had a countryish song. We kind of had like a rappy song. Kind of had like a very pop song, a ballad. We've done all these things, but it still sounds like, oh, that's We the Kings doing that. And I think the inspiration for all of that comes from just how we're living life and what we're running into. And it's always, we live very much in the present, and I think that's we're very conscious of our surroundings and life itself, and we're not living through a different year or anything like that. We love the here and now, and I think that's a lot of bands don't change, a lot of bands don't progress, and they find the same influences in the same things that they were writing about 10 years ago, and it feels very stagnant. So I think ultimately I'm so influenced by my family, my love life. I just got engaged, which is cool. My friends, the fans that we get to meet, everything is so inspiring, and it really, you can feel it when you write a song. Off this newest album, I wrote a song called Just Keep Breathing, and to me it was about what I had to do. When you're growing up, and I think everybody's had this feeling I don't want to be in this world. I don't and it wasn't necessarily going to the extent of thinking about suicide, but you're just so bummed out that things weren't going the way that you had thought in some way, somehow this was going to work. And I didn't have that song to go listen to when I was growing up, so I wanted to create that song. I wanted to have something that somebody could listen to in a dark time that could offer a piece of light. So I think I was, in a way, influenced off my childhood and something that would relate to a lot of other people. Influence is easy to find, but it is the hardest material to really grasp and to understand. And I think that's what makes a really good songwriter a great songwriter, is that they can actually understand why the influence is influential, if that makes any sense. Like it's just a lot of, you can write about all these things that you can feel in life, but to understand why that impacts you is really how you're going to be able to translate that music to the fans.
It's great. And all you've seen through the years and all the experiences, what advice do you give to that young band? There's a guy picking up the guitar today for the first time, wanting to form his garage band. He's got,
It's so funny.
goals in his mind.
I always think about that. We gave our album to Pete Wentz a long time ago before we were even signed. And it had 3 songs on it, our best 3 that we thought, were the best, whatever. And then we were on tour with them, years and years after. So I wonder which band is coming up and giving me the album that we're going to be touring with, or that we're going to be opening for. They might be the biggest thing ever. The best advice that I got, and I always, kind of relay this on to people and also to artists and bands, is my father told me, figure out what your idea of success is. So that you have to have a goal, and that's the easy part of the advice. But the thing that always stuck with me was like, once you figure out what that success is, if it is money and fame and girls and you want to have people screaming your name, then go for that. That's totally cool. You have to do you. But my father said, he was like, if you're anything like me. And he sold carpet out of his truck for years and years and years, and then started his own business from the ground up, and now has one of the biggest flooring businesses in our hometown. So like, he started from selling in his van. He was in a band van, doing the guerrilla warfare style, just on the ground forces, and I saw that. So he was like, no matter what that success is, if you're anything like me, then playing music and being able just to get together with your best friends and play and to create, that is the ultimate success for him, and that's what he went for. All the other stuff comes, the fame and the money and the girls and the fans screaming your name and the songs, stuff like that. All that will come as long as you're staying true to yourself. So I think that if people can identify what their idea of success is and then strive for that and not just for what they think success should be, really go for what you truly believe success is. What's up? I'm Travis Clark. I sing for the band We the Kings, and you don't have to sit there and just watch this. You can. I love that you watch it, but get up, do something. You're gonna love life. I promise you. You are watching Indie Power.